Hello everyone, this is the Mental Health for Life channel. The COVID-19 pandemic has brought about changes in our lives all over the world. It has had a very negative impact on mental health, especially because of uncertainty about the future, worsening employment conditions, and fewer opportunities to get out and about. As a result, the number of suicides has significantly increased around the world. We all have a fear of dying. What kind of state of mind is it to overcome that fear and choose to die? According to a survey, 70% of suicides do not have a suicide note. Very few people attempt suicide after writing a suicide note and being prepared to do so. Most suicides are impulsive acts, and we can only speculate about the state of mind of the deceased. Some people who attempt suicide barely survive and are brought to the life-saving facility unconscious. After they recover, psychiatrists ask them about the process that led to their choice of death as part of their mental health care. But, strangely enough, most of them do not clearly remember what happened before and after. They remember that they were so anxious that they became confused, but when they came to, they were on the bed in the emergency room. Suicide is not something that is carried out of one's own will, but rather, when one is feeling the desire to die, something triggers a switch. And it seems to be carried out in a state where one's rational mind is not working. They do dangerous acts the moment their mind leaves their body and flies somewhere else, causing what is called a dissociative state. They ask themselves, what will happen to me if I die? Will it hurt? They attempt suicide as if controlled by the Grim Reaper, without having time to think about the things that would normally occur to them in the face of death, such as, will it hurt my family? In this video, I will present 5 more details about the process that leads to suicide. At the end, I will explain some important things you can do to prevent suicide. 1. When the mind is weak, the impulse arises. Suicide is not just something that we decide to do on a whim. There is always a long process leading up to it. No one is free from worries about money, work, relationships, and other problems in life. However, the mind has a limit to how much pain it can endure, and when the pain goes beyond that limit, the mind gradually weakens. Many people become depressed, seem to always be in a state of depression, and lose the energy to do anything. It would be good if they could sense that something is wrong with them and ask for help, but some mistakenly believe that they are not trying hard enough, or that they are lazy, and blame themselves for not being able to overcome such a difficult situation. Furthermore, if this condition is left unchecked, the unvoiced thoughts that I am a useless person or I am worthless will come up in one's mind. Especially with the disease of schizophrenia, thoughts like, you are a needy person, die, may enter the mind. It is as if you are possessed by the Grim Reaper, whispering in your ear. People who have this kind of death wish will impulsively attempt suicide for some reason. The trigger most often seems to be bullying or a dispute in which the person is subjected to hurtful words. Recently, a celebrity attempted suicide due to online abuse, and it was triggered by malicious words. The moment his heart was hurt and his reason flew away, the Grim Reaper took his life. 2. Someone close to you pulls the trigger. Surprisingly, the malicious words that trigger suicide can come from the mouths of close family members, teachers, partners, and best friends. When we are close to someone, we tend to dismiss their feelings by telling them to get a grip, or that they care too much while listening to what they have to say. In our desire to solve the problem as quickly as possible, we often become preachy and inadvertently drive the other person away. Others encourage suicide by saying, you don't even have the courage to die, or if you could die, you would. 3. The risk increases if there is no one to talk to. Statistics show that suicides are overwhelmingly more common among men than women in every country. This is because, on average, women have better communication skills and are more likely to ask for help when in need. In fact, surveys have shown that men are more likely to have no one to talk to and are more averse to feeling vulnerable in difficult times. It is understandable that being lonely and having no one to talk to, and having the idea that one should not be vulnerable, are major risks that lead to suicide. 4. likely to occur when the mind is weakened by alcohol or drugs. One of the situations most likely to cause suicide is when the person's rational mind is weakened by alcohol or drugs. Another high-risk situation is when one is exhausted from lack of sleep, or when one's rhythm of life is disturbed, such as the reversal of days and nights. When one's rationality is impaired, the brakes of the mind become ineffective, creating an opening for the Grim Reaper to take advantage of one's situation. 5. Finally, how to prevent suicide. There is a long process before a person commits suicide. The first stage is when the mind becomes weak, and the person becomes convinced that he or she is worthless and becomes possessed by the Grim Reaper. The next stage is when a malicious word triggers the person's rationality to fly away, and the Reaper takes his life. In the first stage, a person's mood changes. There are signs that anyone close to them will surely notice: a lack of energy, a dark expression, a lack of laughter, fewer words, the smell of alcohol in the morning, and so on. If this continues for more than 2 weeks, the person may already be possessed by the Grim Reaper. To drive the Grim Reaper away from oneself, it would be good if one could find a counselor or other person to talk to. But people who are too proud to be vulnerable tend to do the opposite, avoiding people and preferring solitude, or resorting to alcohol or other vices. In order to prevent suicide, it is important for you to respond to those around you. If someone asks you about wanting to die, ask, "Why do you want to die? What's bothering you? What is painful?" Trying to forcefully correct the person's thinking by saying, "That way of thinking is wrong," is counterproductive. It is also pointless to talk about your own difficulties and how you overcame them. It is important to listen to them without interrupting them and understand their feelings. Instead of trying to stop the suicide directly, we should try to first understand their feelings. If there is someone to lean on, the Grim Reaper will have no place to go. Only a kind heart that cares for others can drive away the Grim Reaper. This is the Mental Health for Life channel. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel.